Good morning, children. Welcome to Narayana Live Classes. Now, we shall discuss key for assignment 9 dated 11th of July 2020. In this assignment, we are given a creative writing discourse based on 2A reading, that is Oliver asks for more. Okay, so I'll read the question for you. Oliver followed Mr. Bumble, went into the whitewashed room and came out after some time. He faced the live board there in the room. When he came back, his face became red and he was sobbing himself. Now, think about what had happened in the room. Write a possible conversation between Mr. Bumble, Oliver. Actually, the conversation was to be developed among Mr. Bumble, Oliver and gentleman in the room. So, 3 people are involved in the conversation. So, here, this is a creative discourse. So, it all depends on your individual creativity, how you develop this conversation. But you should bear in mind the assessment indicators that the writer should keep in mind while writing a conversation. Okay, those are called assessment indicators. These are the points which your evaluator will consider while assessing your writing discourse. Okay, so these are really very important. These are to be borne in mind when you write a conversation. The first assessment indicator is writing dialogues with 5 to 10 exchanges. Minimum 5, maximum 10. So when we call a dialogue, it is between 2 individuals. Okay. And one exchange is like if the characters involved, one speaks, the other speak. It's one conversation, like one exchange. Okay. So like that, we should have 5 to 10 exchanges. Okay, so in our discourse, in our conversation, we should have 5 to 10 exchanges of dialogues. That is the first assessment indicator. The second assessment indicator, using proper sequence of exchanges. Here, in this discourse, we are given an instance. Like, develop a conversation between Mr. Bumble, Oliver and the gentleman in the room. So this is one situation that is given to us and it is sequential. So you should follow proper sequence. So the dialogues that you write should follow a certain sequence. The third assessment indicator, sustaining conversation as per social norms. Okay, so we should follow polite references, reflections, greetings. Okay, so sustaining social norms is important because we should sustain our conversation according to the social norms. Like we should begin with greeting because when we meet each other, we begin our conversation with greetings. Okay, we greet each other and then we develop conversation according to the topic given and then in the end we gracefully depart. We close the conversation. So we should follow social norms in our conversation. So sustaining a conversation as per social norms is the third assessment indicator. Okay, so greetings, developing conversation according to the topic, according to the instance given, and then closure. Then the fourth assessment indicator, using discourse markers. Okay, discourse markers like well, precisely, certainly. So usage of such words are to be encouraged. So we should use discourse markers in our conversation. Then using short responses and question tags, because that is what we do. When we speak, you say something, then my immediate response would be, okay, I see. Oh, is it? So such short answers, short responses and question tags should be written in our conversation. Because when we speak, we do that. So that should be done even in writing the discourse. Then, using dialogues appropriate to the context. Here, in this case, we are given a context related to Oliver. Okay, we know what happened in the story. Oliver asked for more. Right? So our conversation should be related to the context given. We should not include discrete points, we should not include irrelevant points in our conversation. That is another assessment indicator. Then the next indicator is using appropriate cohesive devices. Cohesion means oneness. See, we use different exchanges of dialogues. These dialogues are sequential. Okay, we cannot write discrete dialogues and call it one discourse. When we call it a single discourse, that cohesion, that oneness should be shown in our writing. So dialogue should be linked, dialogue should be in sequence, dialogue should show the oneness of the discourse, because altogether this is one discourse. So that oneness is to be shown in our writing. That is called cohesion. Okay, so the next indicator is using well-formed constructions. Okay, so English language follows structure. Our sentences follow structure, right? So everything that we utter out has a definite structure. When I use assertive sentence, it has a structure. When I use interrogative sentence, it is different from the structure of an assertive sentence. Okay, and also when we write a sentence, we do follow the subject-verb agreement. Yes, so structure, subject-verb agreement should be maintained when we write our sentences. When we write dialogues, the sentences should be well-formed. We should make use of well-formed constructions. Okay, so that is one of the assessment indicators. Then the next assessment indicator is maintaining conventions of writing. Maintaining conventions of writing. Conventions of writing are capitalization and proper punctuations. So we should make use of proper punctuations while writing our dialogues. Okay, so particularly like Oliver, when we use a proper noun for addressal, okay, or for that matter, if I address a person by a word like sir or Mr. Bumble, so that is an addressal. Immediately after addressal, a comma should be put, because that is not the subject of the sentence uttered out. When we use an addressal, then comma should be put immediately after that. Or I utter out the sentence and then in the end, if I use the addressal, I should put a comma before I address. So like, Oliver, do you know you are an orphan? So Oliver is an addressal here. Okay, so comma should be put. Then proper question mark, exclamatory mark, full stop, commas, all these punctuation marks are to be used appropriately in our discourse, which is called conventions of writing. We should follow conventions of writing. So the discourse that you are given is with the textual input. Okay, so follow these assessment indicators when you develop a conversation. Okay, so exchanges of 5 to 10 dialogues, following the conversation according to the social norms, well-structured constructions, usage of proper question tags and short responses, following the conventions of writing, okay, and then usage of discourse markers and cohesive devices are to be followed in our writing. Okay, so write your own discourse, develop according to the assessment indicators. Bear in mind these assessment indicators when you develop your conversation. So these are the assessment indicators. Follow these when you develop the conversation. Okay, I hope you are clear with assessment indicators. Thank you children. Have a good day.